major announcement today from Governor Charlie Baker that as of this coming Wednesday, just about everyone in the state will be required to wear face masks in public, places where social distancing is not possible, such as stores, businesses, public transportation, or even busy sidewalks.
Everyone needs to wear a face covering for your own protection. We view this as common sense and an important way on a statewide basis to establish for the long term a set of standards for what we would call the new normal.
There are exceptions for children 2 or younger and those with medical issues where a face mask could make things worse. But violators could be fined up to $300. As the governor said, this is likely to be a long-term requirement aimed at keeping people safe. But across the country, many workers staged walkouts today, claiming their employers have not been doing enough to maintain safety standards. Workers at Amazon, Whole Foods, Instacart, Target, Walmart, and others held May Day protests and asked for people to boycott these services until owners are willing to offer more protective gear, professional cleaning services, and hazard pay for those dealing with the public. Eventually, these are issues all employers will have to face, for workers in warehouses and production plants to schools and office buildings. I'm joined now by Robert Pozen, the former chair of MFS Investment Management, now at the MIT Sloan School of Management, and author of the book Extreme Productivity. That's you, Bob. Extremely productive. I'm just curious just to get your take on these protests today. They were small and quite limited, but these workers are out there everywhere. The supermarkets are jammed with these Instacart people. Amazon people are delivering like mad. Do they have a point?
I think there is a point here, and the companies would say that they have been responsive, but I think the workers would say, especially the ones who are on the front line doing deliveries and in these warehouses, they haven't done enough. And what's interesting is this is not a union organizing activity for one company. This is first time in a long time we've seen an across-the-board sort of work stoppage involving 5 or 6 companies. So it's clearly a PR effort to embarrass these companies and have them do more. I'm sure you know that Amazon and these other companies have raised pay a little. They've said they're going to do protective equipment. In Instacart, they said, the workers said they haven't done a good enough job. The material hasn't been good enough. And I think the other issue is paid sick leave. So that's the other thing.
Yeah, they have done some. So but I want to talk a little bit about, I mean, you've run big board meetings, you've run big companies, Bob. What are offices of the future going to look like when people eventually do get back to work?
Well, I think it's going to be quite different. But those people who say no one's ever going to go to the office are just wrong. What we're going to do is see a careful analysis of exactly what functions people are performing and whether those functions need to be performed in an office. So if you think about a company, financial services company, you have a number of people who are answering the phones, doing the back office. Many of those functions can be done at home, and they will be done at home permanently. That saves the company a lot of real estate costs. It also saves the people a lot of commuting costs. On the other hand, if you look at senior management, marketing people, creative people, they need to have some personal interaction.
Yeah. Well, what's going to happen to things like cafeterias, eating at your desk? I mean, is that going to be allowed?
I think if you look at what's happened with China since it opened up, China has a short day, 8 or 9 o'clock till 2 o'clock. They don't want people sitting in their offices and eating. They don't want to have a cafeteria. They don't want to have a kitchen because that's a real risk. So I think until we get a real vaccine, I don't think you're going to see that.
Well, are companies going to be abandoning these huge office buildings? I mean, if half the people are at home and, as you say, they don't need to spend the money on the real estate, what's going to happen?
Well, I think, as I said, I think we'll have 3 groups. The senior group that is going to come in, but they won't be coming in every day. Maybe they'll come in 3 days a week. And then there's sort of a middle group that has some need for personal interaction, but not that much. So I think we're going to see commercial office buildings. the demand for that goes substantially down. And I think that's going to hurt the real estate industry. But on the other hand, we'll see repurposing. If I were to predict, they'll switch, maybe to healthcare. They'll switch to other sorts of things. But I think the days of building lots and lots of skyscrapers, I think those are probably not going to happen in the future.
And what's going to happen with the current construction boom? I mean, it's on hold in most parts of the state, not everywhere, but in most parts it is. Is that just going to resume, or are they going to have to refigure that too?
I think they're going to have to refigure it because you got to assume that for most of these companies, their demand for office space is going to be substantially lower, whether it's 50% lower or 40%. Depends a lot on the type of company. And there'll be some new companies that will come in that will need office space and that will have a lot of interaction. But I think that the idea that you're just, every time you get a new company, you get a growth in the economy, you're going to need more commercial real estate, those days are over. And I would expect a lot of companies are going to go to people coming in 2 days a week, 3 days a week, platooning, these sorts of things. Even when you get the vaccine, I don't think we're going to see the demand for commercial space be what it is. I think people have learned that they don't have to do all these things from the office. But on the other hand, the idea that they're going to give up office space totally, that's wrong too.
People are going to be selling their primary home and moving to their second one if they have one. All right, Bob Pozen, always a pleasure to have you. Thanks for coming.
Great to see you, Emily.